This story today is absolutely mind-blowing and could prove that life after death exists, and if your desire is strong enough, you could bring back a loved one's ghost and ask them how they died and to tell you what exactly went wrong, or in this case, who did it. Hello and welcome back, or welcome to my channel. If you don't know what's going on here, I am a horror artist and I like to draw what I talk about in these videos. I like scary facts, conspiracies, aliens, all that kind of creepy stuff, and I love to draw, so I combine the two on this channel. If this is something that you think that you are interested in, stick around because you might like the content. Now, nothing in these videos is meant to be insensitive to the victims or the victims' families, but I will be accountable for my art. But if you are a sensitive person, I recommend not watching this and going off to another more pleasant channel. Now, with that being said, let's get on with the video. Now, this case is the first case in history where a ghost solved its own murder and it held up in court. This is the story of a beautiful young 23-year-old woman named Zona Heaster Shue who resided in Greenbrier County in West Virginia. Zona met Erasmus Shue in October of 1896 after running an errand to town. She ended up falling madly in love with the 37-year-old blacksmith, despite Zona's mother, Mary Jane, objecting to the relationship because she just didn't feel right and felt as though something was off about Erasmus, and plus he was 14 years her senior. But Erasmus came across charming and powerful, so Zona was smitten and thought she had hit the jackpot when she met him, as he had dark hair, blue eyes, and was very good looking. Within months of the meeting, Zona and Erasmus married in a Methodist church in Liverseay Mills. After the wedding, they both moved into a small two-story home on the opposite side of Sewell Mountain from Zona's mother, Mary Jane. A few months later, Zona fell ill and was checked over by the family doctor, J.M. Knapp. Now, Zona had a few visits from Dr. Knapp as she was suffering from female problems, but it was said that she may have been pregnant. While Zona was recovering, Erasmus sought services from a young 11-year-old boy named Andy, who was the son of Aunt Martha, as she was known around town, to run errands to Zona, do chores and pick up groceries, and then run them out to her. Now, apparently Andy wouldn't run the groceries or do the errands straight away, so Erasmus got a little bit angry and ended up having to apparently go to the boy's home a few times to get him to run the errands for him, as he wanted eggs delivered to Zona. So the boy eventually did, and as he was walking up to Zona and Erasmus's home, he felt something was wrong. All the doors were closed, the atmosphere was just off. Andy entered the home and found Zona dead at the bottom of the internal staircase with wide opened eyes and apparently was smiling. Andy ran out of the home back to his mother's place and told her, and then she told Andy to run to Erasmus and told him to go home immediately. Andy then ran to Dr. Knapp to get him to come over to Zona. When Andy, his mother, and Dr. Knapp got to the home, Erasmus had already taken Zona upstairs and placed her on the bed and had dressed her in a nice high-necked dress. He was holding Zona's head in his arms, crying for her to come back to life. Dr. Knapp examined Zona while Erasmus held her sobbing and put her death down to natural causes. Zona's body was taken out of the home and, followed by some neighbours and Erasmus, took her over to Zona's mother's place, Mary Jane, so Zona could be buried on the Heaster farm property. The whole time, Erasmus wouldn't leave her side and didn't let anyone near Zona's body, not even her mother. Erasmus had placed Zona's favourite scarf around her neck to be buried in. Erasmus also made himself sit at the head of the coffin so no one else could. After the funeral, Mary Jane started acting a little strange, and neighbours reported seeing Mary Jane's candle lights on all night and like she wasn't even sleeping. This apparently went on for roughly a month after Zona's death. What Mary Jane was actually doing was praying every night and mostly all night for her daughter to come to her and tell her exactly what happened and how she died. Her prayers got longer throughout the weeks, and townspeople even recall Mary Jane muttering like a crazy woman to herself in town and looking like she had been through the ringer. Mary Jane was actually muttering prayers while she was shopping in town. Then, one night, as Mary Jane kept her ritual of praying for her daughter to appear, the unspeakable happened. A figure appeared at the side of Mary Jane's bed, and it was indeed her daughter, but when she reached out to her, she disappeared. This happened again the next night as well, but the same thing happened. It happened again the following night as Mary Jane intensified her prayers for her daughter to appear, and on the fourth night, it happened to work fully as Zona appeared and began telling her mother exactly what happened by demonstrating the very action that had happened to her. Erasmus had broken Zona's neck, and how she demonstrated this was by turning her back around and her head stayed into position, which would have been creepy as hell. So her face was still facing her mother, but her back had been turned, so her head was basically in a 180 degrees, trying to explain to her mother exactly what happened. Once Mary Jane learnt of this, she marched herself down to the police office the very next day to tell them the story, but she was apparently let down, so Mary Jane and her brother-in-law Zona Heaster went down to see attorney John A. Preston. He heard the stories and thought it was very weird, but took the case on anyway as he thought that there may have been some credit to it. So Preston consulted Dr. Knapp to get him to reveal what went on in that room that day when he examined Zona. He told Preston that Erasmus had hold of Zona's head and wouldn't let go, and that he declared Zona dead of natural heart causes. But as the two men talked, they realised that it was weird behaviour on Erasmus's part. They, in the end, decided that the best thing to do was to exhume Zona's body for a full and proper autopsy. Because it was very cold, Zona's body was perfectly preserved. The body was examined by both Dr. Knapp and Preston and found the scarf around her neck was concealing the reason she died, a broken neck. They compiled all evidence, testimonies, especially from Andy, to testify against Erasmus. They all took it to court, and Mary Jane testified and explained the very supernatural thing that happened to her, and it held up in court, and Erasmus was arrested for the murder of Zona. Dr. Knapp and Preston even found that Erasmus's last two wives died mysteriously as well, and there was a lot that went against Erasmus. It appeared that Erasmus enlisting Andy to do the errands and go to Zona was setting the trap and giving Erasmus an alibi, or even placed the blame on Andy. Erasmus was apparently a cruel and violent man that lashed out at Zona in a fit of rage over dinner she had prepared, and this was another thing that the ghost of Zona allegedly told her mother. The reason why he had broken her neck was because of a particular thing that she had made him for tea. Now, Erasmus was sentenced to West Virginia State Penitentiary in Mouldsville, where he was for 3 years before dying in mysterious circumstances. But it was probably the flu epidemic that swept through the prison that may have killed him. Maybe. There is a roadside marker on Route 60 that commemorates the case. So what do you think about this case? Do you believe that Zona's mother, Mary Jane, prayed that much that she got her wish and her daughter actually came to her? Do you believe that? I personally, I believe it. Like, how else would she have known unless she was in on the murder? But that didn't really seem likely, as it all came out in the end that Erasmus was a horrible person, and a ghost solved its own thing, so its own murder. So hey, if you've got loved ones out there that you want to know about, what happened to them, keep praying, keep just all night candle vigils, just keep praying, and hey, it might happen. Maybe, I don't know. I don't even know if you want to try that, but it seems legit. So let me know what you think about this particular case in the comments down below. Now, the illustration that I decided to do for this video today is of a woman's head being ripped off of her neck, and yeah, just sort of in a very horrible monstery way. Like there's two monstery type hands which represents Erasmus, because he was an absolute monster for what he did, and yeah, it's just snapping this girl's neck and just pulling the head off the body. And that's the vision that I got for this case. That is it from me. If you like this kind of content, like and subscribe. Dislike it, I couldn't care less, because any interaction that you give me helps the algorithm push me up for other people to find me. Hopefully you watch what is left of this video, if there is anything left, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.